Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay start there, but thank you for your patience. Welcome to today's Legal Tech Landscape, an exhibition of Israel's latest technology. I'd like to introduce myself firstly, for all those who don't know me. I'm Cameron Crowley, and I'm a trade officer here at the Israel Economic Mission to the UK. Our aim is to help build and maintain business relationships between UK partners and Israeli companies, plus promoting Israeli technology across a variety of different sectors. Now, as today's title suggests, we are helping to showcase Israel's innovation in the legal tech sector, an extremely fast-growing area of interest here in the UK, which is becoming an essential part of UK law. Now, today's event will be separated into two parts. To begin with, we're going to whet your appetite with a fantastic conversation between two of the industry's most knowledgeable brains on legal tech. And afterwards, we'll move on to a showcasing session where 4 Israeli companies will present their technologies to you, outlining their solutions and how they can fit into the legal tech scene. First of all, though, I'd like to introduce our Minister of Economic Affairs here at the Trade Mission, Ofer Fora, who'd like to make a few words before we begin. Hi, Ofer.
Hi, Cameron. Thank you. And again, it wouldn't be a webinar if we didn't have an IT issue when we start. So here we are. Pleasure to meet you all, and thank you for joining. I think it's no secret that the past 20 months or so boosted the digitalization of many once conservative industries, starting from banking to insurers and even offline retailers. And this surge of digitalization also affected law firms and exposed more and more decision makers within the legal market to the value of new legal tech technologies. As Cameron mentioned, what we are aiming to do today in the next hour or so is to share with you, legal tech experts, the upcoming legal tech solutions coming from Israel. I would like to take this opportunity and thank Cameron Crowley, our trade officers at the Israeli Economic Mission to the UK, for making this event happen, as well as our speakers, Richard Tromans and Zohar Fisher, for taking their time in joining us today. I hope that you, our participants, will find this showcase effective, and I would like to urge you all to let us know should you wish to be introduced directly to one or more of the Israeli startups which will be presenting today. And now we'll move over to Cameron so we can start today's program.
Thanks for the opening statement there, Ofer. Yes, so without further ado, let's get today's event underway by introducing our speakers who will talk about the current legal tech landscape. We are joined by Richard Tromans, a chair of Changing Legal and the founder of Artificial Lawyer, one of the UK's leading legal tech groups that helps to promote new technologies in the space. And from the Israeli side of things, we are joined by Zohar Fisher, the founder of Tech and Law Israel, the country's first ever legal tech community, also helping to promote some more legal technology. Hi guys, thanks for taking the time to join us today. How are you both doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us. Great.
Excellent. So we'll start off with the past 18 months and sort of what's been happening in the legal tech space. Obviously, COVID-19 has been a major challenge to a variety of different sectors. But Richard, to begin with you, what do you think have been some of the main changes and some of the main challenges that COVID-19 has brought to the legal tech space? And would you look at it as more of an opportunity or as a hindrance?
I think fundamentally it was, I wouldn't see it as an opportunity or as a hindrance. I think what it did was that it kicked away any remaining doubts that the legal sector can operate digitally. So, I mean, if you look at the large law firms, most of their lawyers would be traveling around the world, and many of their business team personnel would be traveling around the world. They were constantly working with each other digitally, working with the clients digitally and so forth. It wasn't like a whole new thing to them. And that's why the transition to working completely from home and so forth actually was incredibly smooth. I think what it did is that where there were a few holdouts, where there were still partners who were printing everything out, walking around the office and handing it to a junior lawyer and saying, right, here's a red pen, please mark this document up. That pretty much died off because you just couldn't do it. And now there's no going back. I suppose perhaps as an opportunity, but in some ways it's more like, again, it's this kicking away of the things that might be stopping developments, is that, once everything is digital and you're comfortable digitally, and you're not seeing digital as an alternative. And I think this is one of the things, I mean, people are like, well, you can work from home on Friday, but that's kind of like an alternative to being in the office. Now it's just like, well, look, digital is the base layer. This is the foundational way we do things now, rather than the other way around. Once you get to that stage, when someone comes up to you and says, hey, look, I've got this digital transaction tool that will help us with creating you know, the closing signatures and so forth. There's really no logical opposition to it. You might say, well, we don't need it, or clients don't want it, which I would be surprised if clients didn't want it. But saying, well, oh, it's too technical or it's too difficult, those arguments have just gone now. You know, because if you can run a 2,000-person law firm digitally, you know, remotely, then you can certainly onboard a few tech tools. So I think it's been very positive, really.
So if anything, it was an inevitability, just sped up the process more quickly.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay. And in this sector, whereabouts are you sort of seeing the most progress being made? Is it in contract automation? Is it in you know, document reviewing? Whereabouts has there been the most improvement?
Well, at least in the UK, it depends where you go. Obviously, on the law firm side, you've got. Well, actually, before we get into this, I think one of the key things to point out is that amongst the larger law firms, they're not so much thinking in terms of legal tech anymore. You know, if you talk to the top innovation people at some of the larger firms, they're like, you know, I don't think about legal tech in terms of tech anymore. It's just a bunch of tools that help us with our legal services delivery, whether it's for internally facing or external for the clients. I mean, they might say, well, look, how do we take our knowledge? How do we leverage it to create a ESG tool? Right, so we'll need some partners who've got expert knowledge. Then we might have to rethink some external resource to add some sort of process capability to this. So maybe we use our process group that's out in Scotland or Newcastle. And then they're like, well, maybe we need to redesign the billing model. You know, let's put it on a fixed fee, or maybe let's have it on a license model. And then they go, oh yeah, and of course we'll need some technology. But it's not like they go, let's buy that tech tool and then kind of see what we can do with it. And I think you might say there are like 3 degrees or 3 gradations of legal tech maturity. And I think parts of the market now have reached the 3rd level, which is that they're actually not even thinking in terms of tech anymore. I was talking to someone yesterday in Spain. This point came up and I was talking about, you know, it's just like thinking about knives, forks and spoons. And they said, well, yeah, I suppose it's like being going to a good restaurant. When you sit down to eat, you know, you're looking at the food. You're not really wondering, oh, I wonder what cooker they used, you know, to make this chicken. You know, oh, I wonder what kind of frying pan. Was it a Le Creuset? I wonder. You know, you don't care. You know, you just want the food. And it's kind of, we're moving more towards that now. As familiarity builds across the markets, you just go, well, what's the end goal here? And what goes into it? But to answer your question very briefly, I think on the UK side, amongst certainly the top 50, it's pretty much across the board. Doc automation is being broadly used. NLP, contract review tools for due diligence are being used where it's economically useful. They don't use them completely for everything. I think where the most interesting stuff is happening now is on the in-house side. CLM and ELM providers are really making inroads. And this is actually, it's not exciting just because, hey, great, in-house lawyers are using tech. The reason why it's important is that in-house legal teams can't really change anything until they have data about themselves. You know, you can't, as a consultant, if you go to an in-house legal team and you say, hey, look, you're really inefficient, you need to change X, Y, Z. They're like, well, that might be right, but we don't actually have any data. We don't even know what we do, really. We just do stuff. We're just busy all the time. You know, we don't know how much it costs. We don't understand our workflows. So these technologies allow them to get visibility. Once they do that, they can start to change. And that is a virtuous circle, because as they think more about what they do, they'll engage more meaningfully with the law firms, and the law firms can provide more value. So it's a really sort of, it's a very kind of, you know, the two systems are running into each other. It's symbiotic.
And over to you, Zohar, in regards to sort of what Israel is offering at the moment, what have been some of the main success stories? Obviously, we have the likes of LitigationGate and LitigationGate, who are quite huge around the world at the moment, doing really well. But what other success stories have you heard of in Israel's ecosystem? And what's emerging on the horizon that you think to be quite promising?
Yeah, a good question. I'd just like to first say thank you for everybody organizing, especially you, Cameron, for taking like really an effort about it, and the whole trade mission to the UK and the Embassy of Israel, and of course to the Richard. I've been talking and corresponding and Zooming with Richard for so long, and we never met in person. It was just a brief meeting in London a few years ago, but besides that, and we've met so many times. So thank you very much for doing that. I think there's a reason for all that. Israel has been chosen and to be more exact, Tel Aviv, but let's call it Israel. Israel has been chosen over and over and again as one of the best hotspots for technology in general. And in the last 2 years has been chosen one-on-one as for the one of the best places for legal technology. Now, it depends on two issues. The first one is the, let's call it the Israeli economy and the Israeli government. If 15 years ago, the Israeli government made a rational decision saying there is a new thing called computer viruses, not new, but it's a harming thing called computer viruses. And we would like the Israeli government to put money into the market and promote entrepreneurs, youth, academics in order to make people understand what's the threats and provide solutions. 15 years forward, Israel is currently an empire of cybersecurity. We see exits and mergers almost on a weekly basis. And if we were taking 7, 8 years ago, a lot of the world was speaking about financial technology. And a lot of the people said, all right, financial technology, we got ATMs. We are going to press a code and we got money out. Why do we need financial technology? The Israeli government put in money and efforts and resources. And currently, once again, Israel, a very small country, as I guess everybody here knows, is one of the empires in financial technology, in fintech. The same is starting to happen. It's not a wave, but it's starting to happen with regard to the legal technology. And we see more and more. I'll give you an example. There's a hackathon this week here in Israel, all devoted from the Israeli government and the Ministry of Justice, putting in a lot of effort in order to promote those areas, because they understand it's a niche where there are a lot of money involved, and that's always important, of course, but it's also innovation. And that's relating to the question you asked, because what's on the horizon for Israeli legal tech? If in the beginning of the years, in the first few years, a lot of the entrepreneurs said, and they said wisely, they said, there are a lot of attorneys in Israel, which is true. To those of us who doesn't know, Israel has the highest attorneys per capita in the world. We're #1, yay. But if you're taking so many attorneys in Israel, and we need to bring some kind of platform or a website or an app to connect those two and to take the margins in between. And that's excellent, but that was a few good years ago. Currently, the entrepreneurs in Israel are looking for the major issues. To be more exact, they're looking for areas and territories outside of Israel, because the legal fees in Israel in comparison to the EU, to the UK, and to the West and East Coast in the US really varies. It's between 30% to 40% of what's going on over there. And the Israeli entrepreneurs are using Israel as a POC, as a proof of concept, to see that the team, the mechanism, the technology really works, and they are aiming for the largest markets. And I'm really proud to say on behalf of the Israeli legal tech scene that we see more and more entrepreneurs that are bringing tools which they studied in the Israeli IDF, in the Israeli army, or in the academia, and say, all right, let's take artificial intelligence and tear it up to levels and really understand where we're going. A few of the companies that we're going to meet here today are ones that took this method and adapted it to the legal technology. And I think this is what lies in the horizon. More and more companies that are looking for the more top tier technology areas, because, and I'm closing a circle, if we're thinking about legal tech companies that are looking to connect between lawyers and clients, there are hundreds, if not thousands like that around. You need to bring the unique USP, the unique selling point, and the unique thing. And usually, not always, usually it lies within technology.
And you mentioned there the crossover of other technologies into legal tech. This is sort of a two-part question for both of you, so feel free to chime in. So how well do you think they've adapted to that transition to legal technology in Israel? And afterwards, Richard, if you could touch on sort of the growing digitalization of the law sector as well. We always hear the word digitalization thrown about across a variety of different industries. I think it's you have an idea of what it is, but I think it would be quite interesting to sort of understand the specifics of it all as well. So yeah, start with you, Zohar. What do you think the transition has been like for those companies?
Well, I think that if I'm coming back to what I said, cybersecurity, currently everybody knows what it is. Biotech, currently everybody knows what it is. Fintech, the majority knows. But let's take a rising force called RegTech. RegTech is another brand new thing that it might be another a webinar in a couple of years from today, speaking about RegTech. We're speaking about areas which are basically blue ocean, not just in Israel, but also around. I'll give you an example. I visited, without names, a LegalTech conference in the US. It was fascinating. It was a lot of people. It was great for networking. We don't remember that such a thing ever existed, but it was great to network without any masks. And in this exhibition, you saw LegalTech products. And LegalTech products were AI-based software using big data and doing all kind of models. Companies that are doing, I'm trying not to avoid names, and companies doing automatic due diligence and contract review and taking repetitive things which lawyers do and making them on the technology side. But in addition, you saw printers, sensors, which are alerting the law firm management when a cartridge of printer needs to be replaced. They were considered LegalTech. You see carpet manufacturers, and I'm not joking, carpet manufacturers that are selling it to law firms because when those attorneys are walking in the halls and when the interns and the paralegals are running in the halls, they want to do a lot of noise. So it's been considered as LegalTech. So those areas of the law is less of legal technology of today. They can be, I don't know, new law in a way, but you see more and more emphasis and education about legal technology. We see it in the Israeli academia. There are currently 3 academic institutions in Israel which have a specific course or a seminar dealing with technology in the law, innovation in the sphere of law. And it's something which was considered science fiction a couple of years ago. And currently they are considered not just something which is going to educate the youth, but something which is going to harness in students which are thinking about which academic institute they're going to choose. They're going to the ones which is going to choose innovation because, and stop mumbling, because the law firms are currently producing 2 kinds of products. You have a product called an attorney. It can be a paralegal, it can be an associate, it can be a partner, but it's someone that's doing like that and it's representing clients. And the other ones are just administrative stuff, which are assisting, printing, copying, setting up calls, and so forth. And currently there is a new kind of product, and the product is legal engineer. And the legal engineer is not necessarily a legal team, is not necessarily administrative. He is someone that usually doesn't necessarily have any academic legal scholarship, but what he does, he's taking the legal tech tools and he is using them and implementing. He is the operator of it. And it's coming back to the thing when a client, when he's choosing a law firm, one over another, he's choosing a law firm which is not necessarily has the biggest conference room or the nicest rankings on Legal 500 and Chambers. Those are all important, but he's going for the law firm which is more efficient, using his money and legal fees more efficiently in doing more work, less time, higher quality. And this is LegalTech, and this is where we're going in Israel, as I see.
Excellent. And Richard, if you could briefly touch on the digitalization of the law sector. As I mentioned, I think everyone sort of has this idea of what digitalization is. Is it just on computer, quicker emails, less work time, less reading on documents, etc. But what are some of the main specifics, some of the most interesting parts of digitalization currently at the moment?
Wow, there's so many aspects to this, but I think just to start this, I mean, a few weeks ago, I did an article which was, how do you define legal tech? And I asked a whole bunch of people from across the market, and everybody had very different ideas. And I think that kind of reflects, what Zohar was saying, that, it's still very much a field that's evolving. But pick out some of the key themes. One, I think there's what I describe as the bifurcation of legal work. So where you've got two systems which are propagating simultaneously in different directions. So the clients are more than happy to spend an enormous amount of money on highly complex bespoke work where they're just sucking the brains and experience of very experienced lawyers. And I don't think that will ever change. And that will probably remain on the billable hour, or there'll be some type of special success fee, whatever it is. And that's cool, that's fine. And there's actually not much you can do with LegalTech there. You know, if you've got a partner with 40 years experience and you go to them and you say, look, you know, you actually wrote the book on poison pills to avoid takeovers. You know, things have changed a bit since then. In your experience, what do you think I should do? You know, that 5 minutes of advice could be worth, you know, $1 billion if you're a very large company. There's that. And then there's gradations of that. And then we come down to what is effectively repetitive work. It may be complex, repetitive work. And I think that's one of the things that people get confused about. They assume that when we talk about process work, which is where you can really apply technology for obvious reasons, that we're talking about simplicity. It may not be simple. For example, we may be talking about a derivatives contract, which is certainly not simple and certainly not low value or low risk. But there are high levels of frequency and repeatability. They're highly structured documents. You can use systems where you can work with templates to then help you to fill in those documents more quickly, and then to extract, once the document has been created, to extract that key data, put it into a dashboard so that banks, for example, or investment funds can have a overall vision of what's actually going on with all their contracts. It's just a very, very simple example of digitization. I mean, you couldn't do this in a manual artisanal world with paper. You know, you could get a junior associate to sit there all day and draw out all the data, and then because you're probably not a tech expert, you would get them to cobble together some Excel spreadsheet that probably wouldn't look very good. Digitization is just so much more than just, you know, moving on to a digital framework. It allows you to do more. It creates new value. Much as, you know, for example, the going onto the internet is way more than just communicating electronically with someone in a different place. It creates an entirely new environment where new value is generated, and new relationships and new forms of expression develop and so forth. And the same is true of legal tech. I think another aspect, another leg to this is, you know, who is legal tech for? Fundamentally, for me anyway, you know, all of this has to lead to one outcome, which is the improved delivery of services to the end customer, whether that's an individual in this sort of consumer space, or whether we're talking about a gigantic corporation, whether you're in an in-house legal team, whether you're at an ALSP, an alternative legal services provider, or you're at a traditional law firm, or you're a member of the Big Four. All of these things connect, and we're all actually on the same side. For legal media, for legal tech companies, everybody, we're all actually in the same game, which is we're trying to improve the delivery of legal services to the end customer. That doesn't necessarily mean cheaper, but it certainly means getting value for your money and increasing value where you can. So digitization is also a logical development when you actually look at the clients. If you look at the clients, they're using things like Salesforce. So all of the contracting around sales, which obviously any large company that sells stuff is using, are using Salesforce. The rest of the business is digitized. The idea that the legal department is somehow allowed to operate in a different century doesn't really make any sense. And also you're losing a lot of value, you know. So for example, you know, your contracts are effectively the DNA of the company. You know, someone said to me the other day that, you know, the sum total of a company is effectively its contracts plus your staff. You know, everything is in those contracts, not just legal terms, but all of your business data, all of your relationships, everything. And a lot of this stuff gets siloed and stuck in the legal department, and it should be integrated into the rest of the business. So again, it's another aspect of thinking about digitization, not as just becoming digital, but moving on to a whole new level of value.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time, guys. You know, I was hoping to go a bit longer, but I think, you know, we have some Israeli companies who are very much keen to present their solutions. Apologies for lack of Q&A as well. We're running a bit late, but I think, you know, I think we got a lot out of that conversation. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. You know, I'll get in touch with you guys hopefully soon. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks to Esther for your nice message. Hi, Esther.
Hi, Richard.
Thank you very much. And I see there are a few questions, and people who have any questions, I'm sure that both Richard and myself will be more than happy to answer. Just send us an email. We'll be more than happy to assist.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. We'll log off. Bye.
So let's begin our showcase event now. We'll begin with Esther Dayashvi from LawGeeks, the solution architect there, one of the AI-powered contract review automation systems. So hi, Esther, how are you doing today?
Nice to meet you. Hi, very glad to be here. I will be sharing my screen with you, so let me know once you can see it, and we can start the presentation.
Excellent, see it very well. Take it away.
Great. So first of all, thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to showcase Israeli innovation in the legal tech sphere on a global arena. This is a huge honor. Thank you for the Israel's Ministry of Economy, and especially for this invitation, and Cameron. This is a great opportunity for us. I'm very glad to showcase today how the customers of LawGeeks, whether it's law firms or corporate legal departments, work with us in order to be able to automate the routine commercial contracts. As Richard Torrance has just mentioned, contracts are the DNA of a company, and a huge chunk of contracts could contain very repetitive aspects to it. So whether it's working on achieving the business goals of reducing that time that is spent on these repetitive tasks, and also alleviating the cost efficiency aspects, reducing the risk exposure, all the while not reducing the quality and accuracy of the output. A little bit about myself. I'm a solution architect at LawGeeks. I'm a securities incorporated attorney and served as a head of innovation and legal technology implementation at some of the largest law firms here in Israel. So I will start from the beginning. LawGeeks is basically the world's first contract review automation powered by artificial intelligence, and it has been established from a real pain point. Our CEO, Nuri Bachor, is a commercial attorney, and he has experienced firsthand the challenges of reviewing numerous contracts and realized that this is a very repetitive work, which is keeping him from focusing on the more substantial aspects of the work, the more complex contracts, so to speak. When he was looking for a solution, he just didn't find any at the time. So he teamed up with our CTO, Ilan Edmon, and the rest is history. The world's first contract review automation platform was established in 2014. And since then, we have developed and raised more than $45 million in capital investment and have employees, over 100 employees over the world. Some of our customers include leading companies, eBay, PepsiCo, Johnson & Johnson, G-Power, PwC, White & Case. We work both with large and small companies because they all share a common goal. This is a very universal problem. Contracts are present everywhere. So LawGeeks is providing them with a more cost-efficient, risk-reduced, and more accurate solution than any other platform at this space, since we have been the most mature technology in the market in terms of reviewing contract reviews. So if you take a look at the life cycle of a contract, basically, where do the inefficiencies accrue? 80% of the time of a legal professional is spent on reviewing and negotiating contracts. Most of these are actually repetitive. So LawGeeks took this segment of the contract life cycle and it automates this one, which is pre-signature. So if we take a look at regular lawyers' day-to-day life, what are some of the tasks that you're doing on a regular basis? 50% actually, studies shows, is spent on reviewing contracts. This could be complex, this could be more routine, but these reviews are basically keeping you away from focusing on the more business critical aspects of the legal profession, which is providing legal advice to your internal or external clients, managing the risk and policy, developing your team. So all of these have been singled out as a problem by 76% of general counsel, which were surveyed recently by UI Law Survey. They all pointed out that they are being overwhelmed with the sheer volume of workload that they're basically facing, and that their teams are working and spending a lot of time on repetitive routine tasks, including contract review. And this is having a negative impact on their legal team. Many times this phenomenon results in lawyers being burned out, and it affects their well-being. And great lawyers, talented ones, are actually leaving the profession. There are very high turnover rates in law firms and corporate legal departments. Why should you care about lawyer retention and turnout? Well, actually, a recent survey conducted in the UK shows that half of the lawyers from UK law firms mentioned that lawyer retention is by far number one problem that is going to be facing the legal industry in the coming years. And in the United States, this problem alone is resulting in $9 billion costs annually in 400 law firms. Fortunately, there are solutions. Technology can be part of this equation. By allowing lawyers to work with artificial intelligence and advanced technologies like contract review automation, you can actually automate those repetitive routine tasks and allow your lawyers to focus on the core of their legal profession so that they will not be burned out. They will be actually happy with their profession and not leave it. And nothing makes my career more enjoyable at LawGeeks than being able to work with customers and help fellow lawyers just like myself enjoy their legal career. Basically, this is an example of our customer HP. Todd Solger is Chief Innovation Officer and Deputy GC at HP, and they have been leveraging LawGeeks to automate some of the routine tasks and contracts in their organization. And one of their teammates in the legal department has mentioned that after working with LawGeeks for about a month, he realized that he finally has time to focus on the things he actually enjoys. And if he joked that if they were to take away the tool, he would leave the company. This speaks volumes in terms of the impact of technology on the well-being of lawyers and, of course, the bottom line of the organization. How do we actually do this? So we have a combination of we call it managed AI model. Basically, everything starts from identifying and defining your legal policy. We build a playbook of your legal positions, and it all starts by identifying what are those positions in a contract. Now, since I mentioned LawGeeks is the most mature AI, you don't need to train us. We are already pre-trained on most common legal issues since we have reviewed more than millions and millions of contracts. So that advantage of not having to train and give us hundreds of samples to be able to train the system, you can start enjoying the accuracy level from day one. Once the system has reviewed your contract and identified the issues, the legal concepts that are important to you, it doesn't stop at the flagging out level. It goes a couple of steps further and it actually automatically redlines the contract. It applies very surgical changes based on your legal position, just like an experienced lawyer would. And this is supplemented by quality assurance review by commercial attorneys who work at LawGeeks who are making sure that the AI is implementing your positions correctly. This provides a quality assurance and a peace of mind to our customers that the results are highly accurate, and this provides continuous development to our technology so that everyone benefits from it. And the great part of it is that it's all very easily integrated within your current tech infrastructure or your email. You can just simply receive the contract with track changes to your email. We understand how important the zero change management is for technology implementation. Additional aspect that might be interested is that the technology works with the English language and it's agnostic to the jurisdiction. So it really doesn't matter where you are placed geographically. It already knows how to work with English language and is trained on it. Once you start uploading contracts to the platform, you start gaining visibility into what is happening in your legal department from legal operations perspective. First of all, you understand how to allocate workload more efficiently. And second, beyond that, you understand what is actually hidden in your contract. What are some of the most negotiated aspects of the contract so you can optimize your policy over time and receive data-driven decisions, something that without technology would not be possible. And to sum up, lawyers are the legal profession's biggest asset. By investing in your lawyers, allowing them to focus on the core of the legal profession, the more substantial, critical aspects of the career rather than the repetitive routine tasks, you're actually investing in your business and they will set you up for success in return. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and I would be more than glad to continue this discussion. Thank you, Cameron.
Great. Thanks a lot, Esther. That was great. I'll make sure to forward your contact details to everyone after the presentations.
More than glad to.
So we move on to Jackie and Swadar from LawFlex. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi there. Yeah, feel free to take it away. If you want to share your screen, all the tools are there, so go for it.
Sure. So hi, everybody, and thanks, Cameron, for inviting us to be on today. We're just going to share our screen. 1 second. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. Can you let us know if you can see it?
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay, great. Roll it up. So LawFlex is an alternative legal service provider. We founded LawFlex 5 years ago. And recently we were ranked by Chambers as a 2nd-tier global company in the field. Sorry. So, and what we've had a lot of big changes like everyone else during COVID, and it really gave us time and inclination to invest in our technology as well. So I would say 2 big differences between LawFlex and other ALSBs around the world. The first is that we're based in Israel, and we've had access to a quirk in the market over here. So many talented lawyers from around the world who've made Aliyah and come to live in Israel, which currently we have a pool of over 700 lawyers, 60% of them qualified in 21 different jurisdictions around the world. But I think the other differentiating factor is the technology that we've developed over the last 1.5 years. So currently, we offer companies and law firms a ready-made platform which allows them to manage their remote lawyering. Our theory is that COVID was a big game changer in the sense that law firms became more similar to alternative legal service providers. Whereas before we were the only ones who were operating fully remotely, suddenly the entire industry moved towards remote. And our platform really helps law firms to function in that way. So we address 3 pain points. The first one, and surveys that we've done and have been done by other bodies, the biggest problem for both employers and clients with remote lawyering is accountability. So you're not sure what your lawyers are working on. You suddenly get a bill or report of 50 hours on a project that you expected to take 5 hours. So that's something that our platform addresses, which we'll show you in a few minutes. The second thing, and I think the Law Geeks also touched on this, was the fight over talent, or the flight of talent from law firms. And this is something that was happening pre-COVID as well, was perhaps accelerated by COVID. But there's in the market a bloodbath over attracting and retaining talent. And I think part of what's going to happen is going to be that the market is going to embrace that change and accept that lawyers are not going to stay with you from their trainee, from being trainees to being partners. And our system develops a way to vet and onboard lawyers in a much faster and more efficient way. And also to manage your team, both your permanent employees and your flex talent, in a way that's efficient and provides and has accountability. The third is response time, and again, this was something that was happening anyway prior to COVID. but people are looking for fast answers to legal questions across the globe. So that really is a result of globalization. And we had yesterday a request from somebody who needed advice on electricity rules for charging cars in California, and they wanted the answer in 3 hours time so that they could take it to their board meeting. Our system also helps with speed. So I'm now going to hand over to Dr. Smedar Brack, who manages our technology, and she'll give you a short demo of our system.
Morning, I'm Smedar. I'm LegalTech's Chief of Operations, and I'm working on tech development. So what I want to show you today is our platform and how it can address some of the things that Jackie mentioned earlier. I should also say before we start that we developed this platform to answer our own needs. So we had a need working as an ALSB company, and we developed this company to answer our needs. And then we realized with everything that's going on with COVID and with remote work, these are things that could help companies and law firms especially to manage this remote work thing that we've been seeing, all of us, all over the world. So our platform is a three-way platform in a way. It addresses the talent, the operations, which is everything that internally, and client. And when I say talent, I mean all of our pool of lawyers, of 600 lawyers. And I'll show you all three levels, and I'll show you how they address some of the things we mentioned. So what we see here is the talent portal. The talent portal, each of our talents has their own portal. They can log in. You can see here in the left window, you can see their home pages, their home screen where they enter their bio. The bio is important because it's available online. It replaces the CVs that we used to send in the past for a client. So when a client requests for a proposal for a project, they get on their own portal, and I'll show you this in a minute, an offer with detailing the CVs or the names of the lawyers, and you can click on each one of them and see this bio. And after he does, he say, okay, this is Benjamin Smith, and he seems to be perfect for what I need. I want to talk to him. And then he clicks a button and he goes and he gets the details for Benjamin, where we get on our platform a notification saying, Spellio, the company has contacted Benjamin Smith, and then we know to follow up on this. What we see, it's also important because the talent themselves can address this bio all the time, and they can update it. So they make sure it's updated all the time. If they get new qualification, if they get new courses that they've done, if they more specialization and expertise, they can always manage and add it or change it on their CV here. On the right corner, you can see what would a project look like for them. This is a month in a project that they opened for November 2021. And here you can see that they can log in their hours. They can see how much they earned so far. And they log in the detailing of the hours where the client themselves see it on their end live. So the minute the talent adds it, the client sees it as well. When they're done with a month, when they're done entering their hours, they can go to here and they click it, and it goes automatically on our system as well. To the billing department, and it takes out all the billing and invoicing for the talent to the client. And I'll show you that in a minute as well. What we see here is the other side of it. It's the client side, and that's what their portal looks like in one of their projects. I'll go into this. Tell me if you see this as well. We'll go into our portal. And one of the things Jackie mentioned earlier is accountability, and this is one of the things that we try to address, is when a client defines a project, he can define all the checkpoints that he wants. So he can say, all right, I have this project, and in 5 hours, I want to see where it is at. Did we finish this? What else do we need to do? And then I want to see if we want to continue or not, or we can define whatever checkpoints that he wants. He can define as many checkpoints as we want, actually. And once the talent gets to that checkpoint, he gets to those 5 hours, and he logs the hours on his portal, the client can see it on his portal, but he can also see a summary of the hours where it's a checkpoint review by the talent, recorded by the talent. Obviously, this is not a real lawyer. This is our developer, a brilliant guy, ex-Mellanox, who prepared this for us. So we can see a short preview of what it is and what he needs to do, and then the client gets to decide if he wants to continue, he wants to approve it. And this way he prevents all the surprises that are at the end of the month. You don't get to this point where you see, okay, he worked 50 hours, where did those 50 hours come from? He goes back and he knows he has accountability for every step of the way that he's working. So internally, what we see here, also we see the operation side, so the internal side that connects between the talent and the client. We do a few things here. We do everything here, but what I want to show you here is one of the things that we also digitize is the talent recruitment. By doing so, we do all the recruitment of talent and the vetting and the interviewing through our platform. So I'll go in again to our portal, and this one from our operations side. And you'll see an application by a candidate, and he fills out the form on our website. The system marks, based on his answering, marks it, and he gets a scoring. And based on that, we decide if to continue or not. The system ranks it, and then he gets an invitation to an interview. He goes to, once he completes the interview, it notifies it in our system, and we can see it on our portal. So you can see here again our guy.
Hi guys, I'm going to have to cut you off early there. We have 10 minutes each. So yeah, we'll be happy to send your contact information over at the end. But no, thank you for a great presentation. I'm going to take over to the next technology now, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to everyone. Yes, and now we have Darrow, who are a AI-powered legal claim mining platform. We're joined by Tamar Sakadotti, the Chief of Staff there. Hi, Tamar.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
Feel free to take it away. I don't think you have any slides for this one, do you?
I do not, but if Jackie, if you don't mind, stop sharing. I love the presentation, but
I understand. I think they'll be doing that right away. 1 second.
Great, thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, feel free to take it away.
Great. So thanks, Cameron, and thanks everybody for the opportunity to speak with you and to be here this afternoon or morning from wherever you're tuning in. Like Cameron said, my name is Tamar Sakadotti. I'm Chief of Staff at Darrow. I'll give you I'll tell you a bit about my story and how my story intertwines with Darrow's story and what we're doing and kind of where we're at today. So I was born and raised in Michigan, in the United States, as you can tell by my accent, to an Italian father and an Israeli mother, which kind of morphed me from the very beginning to to constitute some sort of bridge between cultures and between people. Growing up, I was the only Israeli in my American neighborhood community. And so I always had to find myself showing people what Israeli people are in Israeli culture. And it really made me work on this biculturalness from a very young age. And at also a young age, at the age of 17, I find myself crossing the bridge and moving to Israel with my family, finding myself once again at a cultural crossroads that really shaped me. And a year after I moved, I got drafted into the Israeli military. And I was an officer for a few years in the Foreign Relations Unit, which also really gave me a dive into Israeli culture and helped shape my personality to try and find a balance between Americanness and Israeliness and trying to find the good and bad parts of each and try to utilize them. And more than anything else, my military experience proved to me that we really can't take anything for granted. Not our home or our education or where we grew up, and not even the law. When I got drafted to the military, my friends after high school went to college, and I found myself going to what I like to call life school, which really gave me a greater sense of meaning and purpose in my life, and really pushed me forward for my future. Following my military service, I tried to take these conclusions forward, and I studied law and political science at Reichman University, which is formerly known as IDC Herzliya. And I'm a very practical person, so I tried to take these ideas and put them into reality as quickly as possible. So on one hand, I researched corporate social responsibility before it was cool and when it was only a UN charter that no one talked about. And on the other side of things, I also worked for a few years in business development with Zohar, actually, and bridged between international law firms that were looking to expand into the Israeli legal and business market. So this bicultural bridge was always coming back to me. But I later decided to continue my legal professional career, and I worked for a few years at Gornitsky & Co., a top-tier law firm in Israel. And I worked alongside high-tech companies and venture capital funds and private equity, and I was on the path of being a really good Jew. But during this time, I had this nagging feeling in me that just something wasn't right. I worked on one hand with clients on all facets of the law to try and be creative in thinking of how I can help my clients. On the other hand, though, I felt like my day-to-day work was simply detached from the reasons I went to law school in the first place. So when I tried to think about where to go and what to do, I found Darrow, which was a natural home for me. At Chief of Staff, I bridge between Darrow and our investors by leading investor relations, but I also bridge internally between what we like to call as Darrowers to build our strategy, our cadence, and our cross-company projects. But not only that, instead, I saw that Darrow actually showed me that instead of using the law to regulate technology companies like those that I had represented myself, I was shown by my friends that at Darrow that we can use our critical thinking as attorneys to utilize technology to help regulation do what it's supposed to do. So everything kind of came together full circle, and that was really impactful personally. Although I have realized that I told you a lot about what Darrow gave to me in my story without telling you really what Darrow is doing. So I'd like to utilize the next few minutes to do so. We at Darrow are a team of over 50 ex-Supreme Court and big law attorneys, as well as ex-Israeli military intelligence officers. We use AI and machine learning to uncover undetected legal violations and collaborate with law firms to compensate victims and deter bad actors. I don't know about you, but I'm a news junkie. I read the paper every morning. Yes, I buy The Economist as a newspaper, and I see the evening news almost every day. And I even watch a lot of Netflix documentaries that kind of pop up on my screens during the weekend. And there's one thing that everything has in common, which is that there are a lot of reports that talk about a lot of companies that violate the law in a lot of different aspects. This could be privacy or consumer fraud or environmental pollutants. It really doesn't end. And something that I don't have kids at the moment, but I know that I want to try and work today to build a better future for tomorrow. And this is something that I am personally really passionate about, and everyone at Darrow is really passionate about, especially because the reports and the violations that we see on the news, inherently because they're in the news, they're the only ones that you hear about, but they're only a fraction of the violations that are actually committed on a day-to-day basis. And at Darrow, what we realized is that it's basically a legal intelligence problem. The information about undiscovered legal violations is available. We live in a digital age, but the challenge itself lies in finding it to find this data and the violation among a vast amounts of online data and assembling a legal story from the bits and pieces that are scattered around a lot of different sources. So this is a huge problem, but this is also where we come in. Our business model is as follows. We use our technology to find cases that nobody can find. But we're not satisfied just with this. We want to do a lot more. So we build a legal case, and we partner with the best suited law firm the best law firm that is suited to bring the case to court and file the case. And then we actually support the firm throughout the proceedings process. So we allow justice to become as quick and efficient as possible. Which is really, I guess, a bottom line for us, and really what we're trying to aim to do to make this world a better place and more just. So just to kind of give you a more practical example of what we're doing, let's just say for example, hypothetically speaking, that there is an app on someone's phone that collects an individual's medical information. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, that this app knowingly sells that information to the Chinese government, and that hypothetically, their privacy policy, the app's privacy policy, strictly forbids exactly what they're doing. These are exactly the types of cases that we pursue, cases that impact a lot of people, that can be filed as class actions against large companies, and most importantly, just can have a positive impact on what we're doing as a company, and more importantly, as a society. So we can make once again the world a better place. So let me just dive into a few numbers to maybe just give a better understanding of the market that we're tapping into and that we're a part of. So firstly, there are 12,500 class actions yearly that are filed in the United States. But these are only the files that are currently in court proceedings. Can you imagine how many cases actually go undetected? Because that's exactly what Darrow is trying to find out, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. We're detecting thousands of cases a year, and we're just getting started. And moreover, as a second point of fact, an average payout in a class action case is $25 million to victims in the United States at the moment. And attorney fees on average are roughly a quarter of that number. So just that quarter, the attorney fees, that number, that market is $85 billion annually. And that's only in the United States. So all of these cases allow Darrow not only to work with dozens of law firms, but they also allow us to bring compensation to millions of victims and generate millions of dollars in revenue and litigation assets. So everyone wins. And today Darrow is active in the United States, but we're constantly looking to the UK as an inspiration to our future. And we're actually looking for design partners in the UK at the moment to help us pilot our technology in the legal and business market in the UK. So hopefully Cameron is able to put in my LinkedIn and email information already in the chat, and I would love to meet you and to talk together about how we can work together and make the world a better place through Darrow's technology. So feel free to reach out. And thanks again, Cameron, for the opportunity to speak.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Tamar. Yeah, I'll send over your details to everyone.
Great. Thank you.
After the call, so that's absolutely fantastic.
Thanks so much.
So now we come to our final presentation. You may or may not have heard of them, LitigateGate AI, the AI-powered litigation platform. We're joined by their co-founder, Nimrod. Hi, Nimrod.
Hi, Cameron. How's it going?
Take it away. Apologies about the delay here, but you know, finish off with a bang.
No worries. So thanks, Cameron, and thanks for everyone that sticks around. I know that we're a bit behind and over time, so I'll try to make it as short and crisp as possible. So my name is Nimrod, and I run the team here at LitigateGate. I'm an ex-litigator myself. I served as a clerk for Justice Danziger at the Supreme Court of Israel, practiced complex commercial disputes and international investigation and arbitration for a couple of years. So the cliche goes that, you know, I probably spent what was my best decade doing some of the work that today we help other lawyers around the world to do. So what is LitigateGate? LitigateGate is an AI-powered litigation lifecycle platform. We have hundreds of lawyers managing, exploring, and analyzing their cases on Litigate in the UK, but also in the US, Australia, in other kinds of jurisdictions. We're working with top global firms from Baker McKenzie, Taylor Westing, Hill Dickinson, to small regional firms or boutique litigation firms across the UK, like Kepler Wolf and many others. So what Litigate is and what do we do? So we're doing a lot of heavy lifting that relates to the case data, not only the evidence documents that, you know, we've been using e-disclosure or e-discovery platforms for, but for all of your case documents, including filings and court-related data. So as a lawyer, I was really frustrated with the tool stack that I had. Assume that, you know, some of the people on the session today are also a bit frustrated with the tools that they have. There are mainly folders, especially for everything before and after the disclosure exercise. You know, I have a full speech about folders and how folders are probably the worst thing that ever happened to us as lawyers. But the long story short is that folders by their nature conceal a lot of information. And our goal as litigators, but also here at Litigate, is to reveal as much of information as we can from these folders, and especially from the information within the documents. So what do we do, and what does it mean to do a lot of the heavy lifting and connecting the dots between the case assets? So everything at Litigate starts by us analyzing the raw data that you have. So imagine that you're at case inception, you just got a new case and your client dumped on you, as always, thousands of documents, all in PDFs, unsearchable. You have no idea what these documents are. So right now we are integrated with many DMSs, including iManage and NetDocs and many others. So our users continue to work the way that they are used to, saving or storing documents or files on their DMS, but doing the exploration, analysis, and review work on Litigate. So we take these raw documents, all of these weird PDFs, and we're doing a couple of really cool things with them, all in a plug and play way. So everything that I'm saying right now is happening in front of your eyes as you upload your documents. There's no need to train or annotate your data and waste time of it. So we're classifying and dating all of your documents, and we do that by the text of these documents. So we don't care at all about the metadata. It might be a PDF that was created yesterday, but essentially it's an agreement from 10 years ago. So we classify, cluster according to different categories and date of your documents. But we also deduplicate of your documents. We're seeing today about 10% of duplicated documents in each case that we have on Litigate on average. So we make sure that lawyers are not reviewing the same documents over and over again. We're also seeing that cases have about 70% of cases are essentially emails coming from different sources, a lot of duplications in these emails also coming in PDFs, in weird forms, EML and MSG, and that's a huge headache in reviewing all of these pieces of correspondence. So we're threading together all of these emails, again, coming from PDFs, pieces of these conversations, so lawyer can dive into a specific piece of the conversation, but also to zoom out and see the latest piece of correspondence that holds all the data of all the other message that went through. So we're doing a lot of more cool things with your data, but we need to move forward. So we are OCRing all of your data, and it means that all of the documents that were unsearchable before, all of these scanned PDF, financial statements, medical record, employment records, all of these documents are now searchable. And that gives our users really the peace of mind of knowing that when they search something on Litigate, they know that they've searched in all of their documents, that they don't need to go over a specific document that is unsearchable. So after we've organized and classified and dated all of your documents, we're diving into the sentence level for the first time. So we go sentence by sentence in each and every document. Again, both evidence documents of the data that you have, but also filings and court-related documents. And we automatically identify and extract the key assets, as we call them on Litigate, the building blocks, the sentence level information that is hiding within these documents that we lawyers care most about. So we're speaking about actors and events, but especially facts and legal issues that are mentioned in these documents. And we lawyers are so used to troll through documents just in order to find them. And if we're top lawyers, we might copy and paste them to an Excel spreadsheet. So Litigate is doing, this 90% of heavy lifting, extracting this crucial data that we lawyers need to manage. And we're able to do that for the first time using Litigate. So we're taking, all of this data, allowing our users to slice and dice it to whatever need they have according to the stage of their litigation. So at the end of the day, that's what we lawyers do. We either tell a story or review a story that someone else has told in different stages of our litigation. And we've built the technology and the tool stack in order to allow lawyers to do that in a very cost-effective way. We're doing a lot of other cool things. So for example, we're taking each and every sentence in your document and we compare it to all of the other sentences in your case. And that flags similarities, connections, and possible discrepancies between your data. So you probably know this feeling of reading something and remember reading something somewhere that might be relevant, but you have no idea what it is, where can you find it? Everything is in folders. You have no idea how a trainee 5 years ago has named these documents. It's unsearchable. So LitigationGate brings up all of the things that might be relevant to the things that you're reading right now. So we've wrapped everything in one centralized platform for remote teams to work with experts, with consuls, but especially with clients. We're seeing a lot of our users inviting their clients, working collaboratively on top of the data and sharing, the work, the review process that they have with their clients. So we're providing new ways to explore and analyze your data, but we're also automating very straightforward tasks that you need to do in each and every case, so we can demonstrate very clear return on the investment on LitigationGate and demonstrate very clear KPIs in automating bundles creation. I think that we have the best bundles solution right now at the market that is fully court compliant. We have the first automated chronology builder in order to tell different stories, the who did what and when, and maybe to come up with a very simple, straightforward dramatis personae list in order to review the connections between your actors in your case and so on. So you can use LitigationGate in different ways, depends on the stage that you're at, from case inception, analyzing your case, getting a sense of who did what and when from the raw data that you have, to slicing and dicing the data to the story of Cameron between 2010 to 2021 in order to review or draft his witness statement. So I know that we're really behind time and I'm touching my 10 minutes time. So feel free to drop me a line or our team, go to our website, see what we do, request a demo, and we're here to help you guys to provide better services to your clients, which is what matters most at the end of the day.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for your time, Nimrod. Speak soon. And yeah, thanks for the presentation. It's fantastic.
Thanks, Cameron.
So that's it for today's LegalTech event. Thank you for everyone that joined. As mentioned over the past 40 minutes, I'll be sending over everyone's contact details from each of the companies. So I really hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Thank you, Zohar and Richard. Really insightful stuff there. And also thank you to the 4 companies, Darrow, LawFlex, LawGeeks, and LitigationGate. We look to hopefully speak to you guys soon and see if we can get these guys over for some B2B meetings in the UK. So thanks a lot, everyone. Appreciate your time and have a good day.